Hello and welcome to the second installment of the Unfadeable Podcast. I am your host, Isaac William Joseph, and we have a very special one for you today. Coming to the podcast is a very special toy collector. This man has amassed over 36,000 YouTube subscribers. He is a nerd and proud of it, being a fan of so many things across the board, collecting toys such as Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, and so much more. But of course, his bread and butter is what makes him a growing pillar in the wrestling figure community. It's Kyle Peterson. How you doing, Kyle?
Hello. Thank you guys for having me over.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So, as you look around this room, you can't look this way because of the sheets, but as you look around this room, you may notice that you are in like company, but also you may also notice how hectic and messy it might be somewhere, and be like, maybe not so much like company, but you know, we're here and we're having a great time. So, always. To explain what we're going to talk about in this podcast, we're going to go a little bit over your background in toy collecting in general. And then we're going to focus on your content at what you do. I will say, when I talked to you at the indie show that we were at together, you had mentioned a book that you wanted to come out with. And we are so happy to help you push that.
There you go.
And we will definitely tap on that later. And then at the end, we're going to have a little bit of fun if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I'm up for anything.
Awesome.
To be here.
So first and foremost, the very first question is very important, very personal. How do you keep your hair so perfect, man? Like, what kind of product do you use?
My wife, thankfully, takes care of all that for me. So whatever she puts in there for me, that's what I use. But shampoo, condition every day, and off to the races from there.
Nice. I used to try to grow out my hair, had it down to here. I kind of caved in with all the comments you get when you try to grow out your hair.
So for me, I always wanted long hair one time in my life. Just figured one time I'll have long hair, and never did do it until COVID hit. Obviously, perfect time to grow your hair long. I was stuck. Usually I'm in meetings and stuff for my day job, so I didn't have to do a lot of that stuff, Zoom calls and stuff. So I let it grow, and the rest is history. And now everybody's like, okay, when are you going to cut it? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So verdict's out still.
I did the exact same thing. Like, I wanted to grow my hair out really long just because I hadn't done it before.
Yeah.
Then I did, and then I shaved my entire head. So
went from both ends of the spectrum there.
Oh, yeah. And to quickly explain who is between us is the illustrious Jordan Van Cleve, as you guys know from the Too Many Words podcast. Of course, we had to have Jordan be in on this conversation because we have a toy collector. Jordan is always about toys. And that brings me to my second question, which is, how long have you been doing this toy collecting thing? Has it always been part of your life? And also, how did it feel when it hit you that this could be like a real source of income?
Well, I'm trying to think. I guess I started probably about 3 years old. That's kind of my first memories. And back in the day, it was Masters of the Universe, obviously still around today. But that is where I started. That's where I cut my teeth. And I had the collector bug basically ever since.
Nice.
I did graduate high school, like many of us do. I decided, I got to college, all that kind of stuff. So I did sell pretty much all of my collection. One of my biggest regrets ever in my life. But I still collected. I just didn't have the funds being in college to really be all in on collecting like I'd want to. But, I went to Iowa State up in Ames. You guys are probably familiar with it. And I used to go to Hastings at the time and Walmart, Target. And I'd always kept in the game. I just didn't have the money to buy. But I dabbled in a few things. And then I got back into it once I got out of college, got to working and stuff like that, and just went from there. But I'd say as a little kid starting off, and I really never stopped. It's just absolutely wild. And my dad, he's been on my channel with me. He was a passionate collector. The starting lineup days, we were all in. We were going to conventions, things like that. So he was getting his stuff. I was getting my stuff. It was a good marriage back in the day. Still is sometimes. He's retired. That's a long story. But never stopped really collecting at all.
Awesome. I had a feeling that your dad had something to do with it. You talk about him a lot on your channel.
Yeah.
And I think the other day you had mentioned how your dad just hated this one figure. I think you were reviewing the top 5 worst figures of the year.
Yes.
And that's always fun to watch.
It was funny too. We're very like-minded apparently, because he bought the brand new Batman animated series line, the McFarlane one, and the Condiment King. That was the one we both ended up hating. So we didn't even talk to each other. He never saw my review. It was just the same thing, which was pretty wild there. But I think the other part of the question was, what was it about?
What did it feel like when it really hit you that this was going really well and it could be more than a hobby?
I guess that really hasn't hit me at this point.
Really?
It's still a hobby. It's still fun. It's like, I mean, any money that comes back, obviously I just put it back into the hobby.
Okay.
It's a weird dynamic if you start looking like anything. I mean, if you start looking at it like it's your income, it's your job, it's a dangerous, slippery slope, because we all have our passions out there. But if your passion becomes your job and it becomes income, I guess you're counting on, slippery slope. I'd hate to, something I've loved my whole life, I'd hate to turn on a dime and say, oh my gosh, I got to go to work. Oh, I got to go to review. But yeah, I mean, it does come with it, I guess. I mean, as you grow and things, more stuff comes, a lot more opportunities come. I mean, a lot of opportunities thrown my way over the last couple of years, which has been really wild. You just don't expect that kind of stuff from this, which is just for fun.
Yeah.
Just talking about what you love. I mean, we all start with a passion project. You guys obviously doing a podcast here. You didn't get paid $1 million overnight, and I don't know if any of us are getting paid $1 million as of right now combined, but it's just a fun passion project. But yeah, you never know where things might go. You just never do know.
Yeah. Really awesome. Hey, Jordan, do you have any questions out the gate for good Kyle Peterson over here?
I guess one of them was, do you have like a job outside of YouTube? Do you do YouTube full time? Or
I mean, I think I basically do YouTube full time.
I've noticed ever since you agreed to the interview, I had noticed, I was like, man, this guy posts every single day, and I respect the grind of that. But yeah, what do you do for your day job?
I mean, I'll tell you, the YouTube thing, I am very consistent, and I think podcasting, YouTubing, whatever you do in life, consistency is key. And as of right now, I mean, I started YouTube a little over 3 years ago. I've never missed a day posting. Every single day for 3 years. Right now I have 2 YouTube channels going. So I have 4 videos every single day I post every single day. And I've never missed a day. And I'm very, very consistent, and I take that over from my day job. But yeah, I mean, I've worked in the grocery industry my whole life. I got a job the day I was 14. Worked my up from there. You guys around here locally, Hy-Vee, that's where I started as a little kid. Working at Hy-Vee, worked there through college, then went off into the CPG environment, things like that. Now I'm a senior executive for one of the largest companies in the world at what we do.
Wow.
So I have a very stressful day job. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started this YouTube stuff is I have a 24/7 job, so it never ends. There's always something to do. There's always something going on. It's very stressful. Obviously, the toy's not as stressful, so it's kind of a little bit of a release there. But yeah, so
yeah, it reminds me of the quote "feeding your inner child," which brings me right into the meaning of the Unfadeable podcast. The word unfadeable is to be incapable of being forgotten, and I really want to make a mark on people dealing with adversity. And even though on the surface, a random Midwesterner who just likes toys might not deal with a lot of adversity, but I assure you we all do.
Oh, yeah.
As a bit of a toy collector myself, and as a bit of a toy collector
a little bit more than
himself.
Bit, yeah.
Oh, okay, for sure, a toy collector in
don't
himself.
Downgrade him. He's big time over here.
I have faced a little bit of criticism and bullying. Oh, you're an adult who buys toys. Have you ever been familiar with that kind of phrase?
You know, I've heard it very rarely, though. Very rarely, but I've always worn my passions on my sleeve ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I'm a very passionate heavy metal music lover, outlaw country, all kinds of stuff, but I have always been extremely passionate about my stuff. I remember just the other day I found old, teacher conference things from 2nd and 3rd grade, and the teachers would always put in there, Kyle is so passionate about stuff, lets everybody know it. If he would just concentrate on his schoolwork, about the same amount of that. But obviously, I know what you're referring to. I mean, you hear that kind of stuff all the time. Oh my gosh, you're an adult buying toys. Oh, what are you doing? And even every once in a while, it doesn't happen as much as you think in my comments on my YouTube channel. But people in there, oh my gosh, and I'm just like, but you're an adult, not collecting, but watching videos of a guy collecting. So it's like boggles your mind. But I know what you're talking about. I mean, I hear it from some people too about that kind of stuff, but it's never really got to me. I mean, and maybe I don't let it too. That's one thing. I don't care. I'm me. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to do whatever I want to do the way I want to do it. I mean, you only got one life, so nobody's going to tell me what to do.
Cool.
So that's my best advice for people, I guess. Be yourself, obviously.
Absolutely.
And then if you're not being yourself, I mean, I don't know if you consider it a lie, but you're not being truthful to yourself, and eventually it's just you're not going to be yourself out there. It's just going to all come crashing down.
Spiral.
When it hurts inside.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We have some podcasting friends in the Des Moines area. They love us because we are who we are. So
We are us.
Yeah.
100%.
And another hardship that I've immediately ran into when I started collecting toys again, storage space. I see in every single one of your episodes or video, most of them at least, this grand wall of wrestling figures in these
IKEA
nice
shelves.
cases on those nice stands. And I'm like, man, he's either got it perfectly together or he is up in his ears with wrestling figures somewhere else. So what's the storage space situation?
It's a double-edged sword there a little bit. It's funny, one of the guys at work always says, Kyle, you did what every kid said they would do when they got older. Oh, when I get older, I'm going to have all these toys, going to have all this room and all that. And you actually went ahead and did it. So I kind of did. And I bought my house, I don't know, about 10 years ago now, and I designed the basement like how I wanted it.
Cool.
Secret doors, secret rooms, just stuff I want. And my wife is the nicest person ever. My wife is so great. I can't sing her praises enough, but she basically said, okay, there's an office in the house. That's yours because, my work, my day job, and then the basement. You have the whole basement. Do whatever you want with it. And so I designed it the way I wanted to do it. And there's a lot of space down there. I mean, there's a video on my YouTube of my walkthrough of my collection and stuff, so you'll be able to see all that stuff if you want to. But yeah, it's funny. It's a double-edged sword, like I said. But right now, I'm doing a ton of best of year-end lists and things. So my basement is an absolute train wreck as I'm taking pictures and pulling things. I mean, we've all been there, and I need to put it back together. I'm also building a huge display for some He-Man stuff. So
Nice.
I'm a little bit under construction is what I like to say right now, but there's a lot of room down there, but there's only so much space. So I got to think what the future is. And I've always lived by the rule in my collecting that if I ever don't have room, I'm not going to get a storage unit. I mean, do you have it if it's in a storage unit? I mean, that's what I always kind of think. And it's like, what good is that? And I'm paying money just to store it. Why don't I just sell it? If it doesn't mean enough for me to put on display in my collection, I don't need to store it away. So that's where it'll eventually go. I mean, maybe get a bigger house. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But we've got a few years till that happens.
Dig a tunnel.
Yeah, there you go. I'm here for it.
All right, Jordan, you got another one of those questions?
You said you're a heavy metal fan. I've dabbled in some heavy metal as of this past year, actually.
Yeah.
Trying to expand my music taste a little bit. But me and Isaac are both avid rock fans. He's got his 3 Days Grace tattoo.
Oh, yeah, right here.
And then I've got a Linkin Park tattoo.
Okay.
So
you're down a generation past me. So I'm a little old school heavy metal. I'm a new wave of British heavy metal, thrash metal. I mean, the Priest, the Maiden, the Motorhead is my favorite of all time. But yeah, I could talk metal all day long.
You opened up a Metallica figure this week, yeah?
Did I? Oh yeah, jeez, yeah, over my head. Cliff Burton, yes, finally Cliff Burton. I was trying to think, but yes, Master of Puppets, of course, era of Metallica. Cliff Burton, very excited for that one. The designer, also named Kyle for Super 7 over there. Great guy. I mean, he did the Motorhead Lemmy figure just recently too, and the Cliff. And he did King Diamond as well. So we're in lockstep there on what we want out of that. So yeah, that was a good one.
I got really into Metallica. That was one of the big ones for me this past year. Metallica.
That's a great way into, I always tell anybody, if anybody ever asks me what heavy metal is, I always give them Painkiller by Judas Priest. That is the album that it's very diverse for heavy metal. I mean, it was way ahead of its time in 1991, but still blows my mind every time I hear that. So that's always that. And then obviously Metallica, though, is a huge gateway for many people.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I love that you brought up rock music to add a little bit of variety in this interview, so it's not just toys.
Yeah.
But bringing into
over here, so.
a more focus on your content specifically, I don't think I see you talk often about wrestling figure customs, but I think I've heard you mention it a few times.
Yeah.
Do you have customs, and do you have a favorite one?
I have a few customs. I'm really not a custom guy. I've never really been that kind of collector. I mean, nothing against that. There's some people that are only customs, which is pretty cool too. And boy, some of the stuff customs are made this day and age, it's absolutely mind-blowing. But I'm not a huge customs guy, but I do have a few every once in a while. And every once in a while, somebody will send me some. And very rarely, but a few times I have picked up some. A few years back, I picked up some Legion of Doom Road Warriors LJN style wrestling figure customs.
Oh, dude.
Which are really, really cool. I got a few Ultimate Warrior customs, of course, in the collection. I've got some of me that people made, which are really cool. I like to use those in the videos, too. But not a ton of customs for me, but a few. I dabble. I always say I dabble in the customs.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Those are like... That's like a holy grail for me.
Oh, in the Mattel?
Personally. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of customs, I love that you mentioned Ultimate Warrior customs. I'm not really a customs guy either, but I made my first attempt. It was not that great.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Do you know how to crack a torso? Because I do not.
I've never done it. I mean, it doesn't sound too hard, but I've heard about it. Don't you heat it up and...
Yeah, you put it in like hot water or something.
Yeah.
But I had the Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior from Series something teen. And I liked his attire here better, so I did the attire swap there. You're feel free to open it up if you like. But yeah, my mistake I made is that the torso hinge that meets the waist is a little bit loose.
And I can't remember the Ultimates. I mean, we're getting real nerdy here, but I think the Ultimate torsos changed over somewhere, and that could have been part of your problem. Like I said, I'm not a big customizer, but I know a lot of customizers have had trouble with the new Ultimate editions combining because of the different torso inside there.
Gotcha.
So that could be it.
Yeah, but yeah, since I did not know how to crack a torso, it has the same tights or the same trunks from the previous figure, but I covered that up with a championship belt, called it a day, and so yeah, that's what we have. But I was just excited to show it to you.
Very good. Yes, Ringside Collectible exclusive was the original Elite, but yeah, very cool. Warrior, my favorite of all time, of course. So.
Yeah. You do talk a lot about the Ultimate. It's in your intro. He's in your intro.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that brings me to my favorite part of your videos every single time. It never fails to bring a smile to my face, is when you open the box and then you just throw trash towards the camera. And I've been wanting to open this.
Oh, there we go.
And I would love you to open it and just throw the trash on this podcast.
All right, whatever you want.
Sweet.
Whatever you want.
I did cut the tape ahead so it would be swift.
A true professional. You got to cut the stuff, of course. But yeah, you open it up, you pop it out. And can we get AJ? AJ Styles for those listening,
yes.
Of course. And then you give it the old heave-ho, the old see you later. Goodbye.
Yeah.
There it is. But yeah, the see you later is a funny thing. A lot of people do mention that. They love it. And one strange thing about me on YouTube is I never watched YouTube before I started YouTube.
Really?
So very weird. I didn't even know. Like, I've collected figures for my whole life, and I never went to see a toy review. Never. Just like it was such a disconnect. The only time I looked at YouTube was for heavy metal concerts. As I was on the road for many years, going to concerts all the time, so I'd check out set lists, check out live performances, things like that. That's all I ever used YouTube for. And then I had a good buddy, David Anderson, around this area that said, boy, you should do a YouTube channel. You got all this collection, you talk about it. And basically my review style is basically if you and I were talking here and I was open figures, that's what I always do. Ever since I was a little kid, I always give it the old see you later. And I just never thought anything of it. It's just what I've always done. And it's funny how that's kind of taken off. And that's kind of...
And now it's on a pro wrestling tee on prowrestlingtees.com.
There you go. Exactly. See you later. But you want me to take it all the way?
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
all the way?
Yeah.
We'll go all the way here. We get old AJ out. AJ, this is a pretty good figure, too, with the extra heads here. Of course, AJ back a little bit bigger these days.
Yeah, I saw that. He was absolutely shredded. I actually went back and saw you review this exact figure just to study up a little bit better. And you had mentioned that you like him in WWE more so than in TNA. I feel like that is an unpopular opinion. I agree.
Yeah.
But Why do you think that?
I felt like TNA was so disjointed. Sometimes they'd be going really good, and they'd, but WWE disjointed too from time to time. But I don't know if it was the longer hair and the better personality with that. I don't know if that was a part of it, but TNA always felt like, to me, it was start and stop. They get rolling on something really good, and then it's like the water got cut off. And he was obviously a big star over there at TNA, but I felt like the WWE treated him even better than TNA did, which was weird because I felt like he was always the one that was patted on the head in TNA. Okay, Hulk Hogan's coming. Okay, AJ, thanks. Oh, Kurt Angle's coming in, or Samoa Joe's taking off. There was always something. Obviously, he had title wins. He had all that. He's a TNA Hall of Famer, all that kind of fun stuff. But I always did kind of feel that way, and it felt like he just stepped it up a level when he went to the WWE.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I heard you mention that that this is your favorite AJ figure now.
Probably as of right now. I'd have to think. I haven't done a top 5, top 10 AJ yet. One of these days I will, of course. But as of right now, it's a pretty good one. I like the white and the blue. Blue's my favorite color, so it really does pop here.
Excellent.
And then the extra heads always help out. I'm not sold on the motion heads on these yet. They've done it with Edge. They've done it with Roman Reigns. AJ, obviously. Some people like that, figure photographers, things like that, or maybe you want to display it like that, but I'm not quite sold on those. I haven't been using them in my personal collection.
Yeah, it feels like the Ultimate box should come with a dynamic stand with it,
Something like that. That could be the next step, too. They're always constant learning, constant improvement, as we always say on the channel.
Jordan, you got a question in that noggin right over there?
So I'll go with my big one. What other figures do you collect, and are there things that you collect that you do not show off on your YouTube channel?
That's a good question. Yeah, I do have some things that I collect that aren't in there. It's a lot of like some of the heavy metal stuff I collect and things like that. Like I have some NECA Iron Maiden big busts, like huge busts, and
That
some
sounds
some
stellar.
figures, Iron Maiden stuff. So I do have some stuff I don't unbox on the channel. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't. For whatever reason, I never got around to it. And that's one thing. It's like I have a horror collection of Universal Monster stuff, obviously, and my dad's Universal Monster stuff, and even Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jason, those kind of things. And for whatever reason, I never put those in my room tours, never put those on there. So one day we'll do a collection. We're actually replacing the floors in that room. So maybe once that's done, maybe I'll do a quick, hey, here's my horror collection. Here's a part of the wing that nobody's ever seen. So there's a few things out there.
Going off of the Universal Monsters, I'm also aware that Isaac has told me that you also are very into Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. Have you seen the Universal Monster Ninja Turtles?
Oh, yeah. I've reviewed every single one on the channel. Okay. Actually, I just got the Wolfman Raphael sitting at my doorstep. Right as I pulled in here, it said it arrived.
That's
so
nice. Cool.
Got all those. Love those. I just opened up. Actually, I just posted it as we're filming today, the Leo one this morning. The Leo is Creature from Black Lagoon this morning. So.
I saw that.
Yep.
I also saw you post the link for the Last Ronin foot soldier.
Yep, just did that one too the other day. So I got all those Last Ronin figures, the Footbot and Karai. I always mess up her name. Karai, Footbot, and then Raphael, the 3 new ones. So I think Karai goes up tomorrow on my channel.
Nice, yeah. That's another thing that I love. Another common ground between us is that we are such turtle heads,
Yeah.
So that leads me to ask, what is your favorite Ninja Turtle toy line, and why is it NECA?
Yeah, 100%. NECA cartoon line is my favorite. And it's weird. Turtles is a weird thing, too. It's really, where did you come into Ninja Turtles? Myself, it was the cartoon, the original cartoon in the 80s. I remember distinctly being on Fox here, where we live, obviously, and it was on at 7 a.m. And I remember watching it before I went to school every single day, and I loved it. So cartoon, near and dear, that was my first incarnation into the Turtles landscape. It's my favorite, but there's a lot of friends of mine and other people. It's the movies. It's the movies from like 1990. That's their Turtles. And that's one cool thing about Turtle fans. It's like, where did you come in and what is your favorite? And obviously nobody's wrong. Nobody's right. It's just always interesting where people really came in. But the NECA cartoon stuff is super nostalgic. That brought me back into turtle collecting. I mean, I think I had 4 Turtle Playmates figures and that was it. But then those, I was like, holy cow. And then they came out with the movie Turtles, of course. I got all that kind of stuff, which dived into the Universal Monster one we were just talking about, the Last Ronin line we're talking about. Now the Super 7 line. I've been doing a Turtle Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, a Turtle video from the Super 7 Ultimate line on Kyle Peterson 2.0, my second YouTube channel. So it's just snowballed into Turtle madness, I guess.
Nice, nice. Well, now that I hear that you find it interesting, people's paths on the Turtles, I would like to inform you that, as a normal kid, I liked the Ninja Turtles like anybody else. And then it hit that lull. Kind of like when you grow up a little bit and wrestling becomes a lull. I don't know if that hit for you, but...
It's funny, the wrestling one, I never stopped watching.
Nice.
I never stopped. However, there was a lull, and that's where I've always said on the channel, thankful ECW came around, because that really carried it for me until things got a little bit better. But I know exactly what you mean, because that turtle lull hit me as well. So tell yours, but I'll tell mine.
It really hit me in 2020 when they came out with that Last Ronin comic book series, and it made the Ninja Turtles cool again in my eyes, And then ever since then, it's just been full throttle. Ninja Turtles are my thing. Transformers is his.
Oh.
We had a third friend that we were hanging out with a lot at that time. His thing is the Power Rangers, and that was kind of like our trifecta. I'm the turtle guy, and I loved it ever since.
It's funny that Transformers, I didn't know you're a Transformer guy. That comes up to me. That's one I've never unboxed on the channel. I have a bunch of Transformers, and I just feel like nobody I don't know how to unbox them. It's the weird thing, because I don't think people want to sit there, because I don't know about you, but Transformers are a lot harder to transform than when I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I didn't need instructions. There it is. Now they're a little bit more complicated. So I'm like, I'm going to sit here and struggle for a half hour trying to figure this one out. But I don't know if it's like you guys, but for me, once I transform it once, it's like, oh, this was so easy. I didn't even need instructions, but it takes me forever to get there. So I've never unboxed those on the channel. So that is
But you do collect them?
I do collect Transformers.
Okay. Nice.
I really like the obviously the stuff out of the cartoon. The G1 stuff is my favorite, of course. But one of my big collecting regrets out there is not getting the masterpieces way back in the day. I wish I would have just went, because I've been in and out of Hasbro so many times, and my most frustrating collecting is Transformers, because the sizes change and stuff, and the looks change, and I really want the G1 accurate across in scale everything, and I probably should have just started at Masterpiece way back in the day.
So as an avid Transformers collector, I'm pretty up to date, pretty current, pretty into that, I guess. Masterpiece is still running. They produce, I think, I don't know, 1 or 2 a year maybe.
Yep.
They're doing the Raiden stuff. I think maybe they just finished it. But right now there's a Studio Series line.
Yep, that's what I was doing.
They're doing the Studio Series 86, which is figures from the original 86 movie. Those are all set to a specific scale. Yeah. And they're G1 accurate, so maybe, I don't know if that's something.
That's what I'm collecting. Okay, so I'm getting all those.
Those are pretty. Yep. Those are pretty stellar, actually. Nice. I really like them a lot.
I really wanted the Masterpiece Dinobots. My buddy had them, and that's the thing. You go back, and a lot of that stuff's so expensive now, obviously. You hope for a re-release, but I don't know if that's in the cards.
Speaking of Dinobots, I have the Legacy G2 Grimlock.
Okay.
The yellow one.
Oh.
It's over there on the shelf, but that's one of Isaac's personal favorites.
We'll have you take a look after the show. But real quick, what's your favorite Transformer? Mine is Starscream.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, got him over there on the old throne. I was always a basic Optimus Prime guy, and it's sacrilegious to a lot of people, but I loved Hot Rod when he came. And I know a lot of people, he killed Optimus. But
I think Hot Rod's great, too.
I loved Hot Rod. And the Dinobots. Grimlock, of course, a favorite of mine as well. So those are probably my big three.
Sick.
Wheeljack is my number one. And then I have Thundercracker for my Decepticon side.
Okay.
So. All right. Now it's finally time. I am so curious what book you are trying to release out here. Let's talk about it, man.
All right. Well, my channel, I've been doing weekly, every single Tuesday for 3 years. And I actually looked. I have a Patreon channel for videos, early content, stuff like that. Search Kyle Peterson on Patreon. You'll find that if you're interested. But I was counted up the other day. My last video for Jakks Classic Superstars, that's what the book's about, will come out the last Tuesday of December 2025. So that's how far ahead my Patreon videos are. But my book is on the Jakks Classic Superstars line. It's a toy line, a wrestling toy line made by Jakks. And it was the first real bridge from wrestling figures being childhood toys to more adult collectibles. And they came out back in about 2004. Had a really good run. Very uniform packaging, just my all-time favorite, or one of my all-time favorite lines, I will say, but a real passion project for me, doing these videos every single year or every single Tuesday for about 5 years when things are all said and done. And I said, you know what? Nobody has this history. Nobody collected the line as it went. Nobody really knows all the stories about all this stuff, and it's not out there. And, you know, that's one thing of YouTube that I really like is there's a checklist. Like if somebody wants to find this AJ Styles, you can search my name in this AJ Styles, you can find it. There's history there, and people can go back and find this stuff. And a lot of the wrestling figure history outside of, you know, LJN, there's a million things on LJN. Everybody knows about those. Hasbro's, a million things on that. But there was a hole in, I guess, the marketplace on Jakks Classic Superstars, and it's a line that is still resonating to this day. A very popular line, and a line that really changed wrestling figure collecting forever. Uniform packaging, limited edition, 1 of 20s, 1 of 100s, the chase aspect, which was not in action figures before that. So it's just a very interesting line, a deep line, a passionate line for me. And I also have a minimum card set, and I have a loose set of these. And I said, you know what? I could do a book on this. So, you know, it took me about a year. I was kind of working in silence for about a year plus on this, taking pictures, doing write-ups, all this kind of stuff. And now the time is now. So the book is pretty much finished. I got to get my reviewer copy this week, and it should be up for sale in about 2 weeks or so.
All right. Where can we find this available?
I mean, Amazon is pretty much the place, but I think Barnes & Noble can get it. I mean, all the places can. But I'm sure Amazon will be your best bet right there. Obviously, you follow me on social media. Once it's up, I'll have links out there. I'll be sending it to everybody. I'm sure I'll be talking about it. We'll probably do a video on the book as well. It's a thick book. I mean, you can knock each other out with it if you want to. If there's some dissension in the ranks here, but it's gonna be a big book. But it's really cool. It's my personal collection, and it's a little bit of a legacy. You know, you're leaving a little bit of something behind long after I'm gone. Somebody's like, "Oh, what about that Jakks line?" You know, and they'll be able to pick up that book. And it's one of those cool things too that not everybody collects Jakks, of course. But there's a lot of people that buy books like this that are like, you know, I don't want to collect these. It's a lot of money. I understand they're expensive figures, but it'd be cool to have a book and I can just look at it. It's kind of like you have the collection if you have the book. You'll have all the loose pictures. You'll have the mint on card pictures. You'll have some history with it. So pretty cool. I always enjoy books like that. So I thought there was a hole in the marketplace, and here we go.
That's great. I'll be hunting you down if I get a copy. Make you sign it.
There you go.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of a question that I often ask collectors, toy collectors of any sort. What warrants a toy to either stay in the box or be opened? Because from what I see, you always open, but you just mentioned that you have stuff on card.
Oh, yeah, I got quite a few card stuff. At heart, I'm an on-card guy.
Okay.
The problem is, and anybody listening to this and everybody in this room, we know there's only so much space.
Yeah.
And if I had my collection, I mean, I'm well over 10,000 figures in my collection. If they were all on card, I'd be swimming in it. And it's just impossible to have all that stuff. And it hurts me. It pains me. And that's one thing about my reviews. You know, I always talk about the card art. I always go through the packaging because that's one of my favorite parts of action figures is the packaging, the design, the blurb back there. That's just as important as the figure is to me. So I really enjoy that whole process there. But man, if I could and I had unlimited space, I'd probably be an all-on card guy, and I'd probably be a double-up collector on things. But I still do like He-Man Masters Universe Origins and the sublines, WWE Superstars and the sublines there. I do buy mint on card. I do get a loose set of all those kind of things. There's a few things I still buy mint on card, but yeah, just for space purposes and stuff, loose is the way I'm going 99% of the time.
All right. Now, I think the third section of the podcast is one of my more favorite parts because it's a little bit more casual, more fun. You recently went to Mall of America to check out the new Toys R Us. Glad to see them back.
Yeah.
A little bit underwhelming feeling from your review.
Yeah.
Not on you, but on the store in general.
Yeah.
They're new. They're gonna fully come back eventually. But you say in the episode, "Man, I don't know how Lego collectors do it. They cost so much money." Well, I'll have you know that Jordan collects Lego. He's here to tell you.
Okay.
I'm an avid collector of all things nerdy. Transformers, Lego, Hot Wheels are a big one. I've recently gotten into Gundam, but yes, I'm a big Lego guy. This one's actually a joint ownership because we both paid for it. And we built it together. He is the slowest Lego builder I've ever met, but you know.
Oh yeah, it's the only one that I ever built to be honest.
The best way I can tell you on how to do it is debt.
Yeah.
They get very expensive. I've really dialed back my Lego collecting a bit. I really enjoy the cars.
Okay.
The realistic cars.
That's what I was going to ask. So obviously there's many facets to Legos. And obviously I'm like, there's got to be people that buy every Lego set out there. There's got to be people out there. However, there's like the really kiddie stuff that like, okay, I'm not getting, you're not getting any of that stuff. I don't think. The Duplos and...
I got two genres I collect. There's Lego Star Wars because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. And then there's the Speed Champions line.
Okay, so the Lego cars, Speed Champions, is that what they're called? So they're like realistic cars.
Yeah,
so that's
they're realistic
because I always saw it. Even back when I was a kid, there was the realistic looking Legos, and I never got those. They were more expensive back when I was a kid too. I remember.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
So the Speed Champions, they're about this big.
Okay.
And they're usually about $20 a car.
Oh, that's not
so
terrible.
Those ones in particular aren't bad, but they also have the bigger scale model ones. Those get pretty expensive. Like
that's the thing, and I've noticed too. I think
$400.
Isn't Star Wars stuff and some of like the Marvel stuff is more expensive than some of the other stuff because you got the licensing fees, all that kind of stuff.
That's the biggest thing, especially with Star Wars and Disney.
And see, that's the same thing as like Hasbro with Marvel Legends, Star Wars. Those figures are more expensive, but if you buy G.I. Joe Classified, which very passionate G.I. Joe collector, you get so much more bang for your buck. Because Hasbro owns the license, they don't have to pay the licensing fees.
Yeah.
So that's the key. But I always see the Star Wars stuff. I always look at that stuff and I just, boy, who can afford to get all this? But I'm not in the Lego game, so it's like Star Wars. How many releases are there a year? Is there 3 or 4? Is there 40? I don't know.
Year?
Yeah, on average. This is I'm glad you brought this up because this is very curious to me.
I say
I don't know anybody.
They do a lot of quarterly stuff.
Okay.
Like they'll release like probably 4 or 5 sets a quarter. But sometimes it differs. I think on average it's like 17 sets a year for Star Wars.
Okay, so you're looking a little over 1 a month, I guess.
I think, but there's definitely been low months or low years where they've only released like 10.
Okay.
But yeah, they did a company-wide price increase for Lego sets, but then also they're trying to dial back the part count to make them cheaper again.
Okay.
So like it kind of balanced out, but also like you're getting less detailed and.
Now, have you ever unboxed a Lego and there's been a piece missing, like a puzzle?
Yes.
Oh, that's got to be just nightmare.
That has happened to me, I think, 3 times.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It is pretty exceptionally rare, honestly, because Lego is pretty good with their quality control. But the first time it was with a Bionicle set.
Okay, I've heard of it. Yep.
And it was just missing like half of the sword. Like it's a big piece like this big, and like it was just missing it. I was like, why?
Yeah.
How does that even happen?
Oh, that's got to be just enraging. It's like finishing, like my grandpa does puzzles all the time. You know, old people, you got to do puzzles to stop Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff. So you fight that. So he does puzzles every single day. And like, he gets driven crazy because there'll be a missing piece and you'll be looking like, did I lose it? And I'm sure it's no different than a Lego, but nothing worse than getting close to finishing or just even starting. And you're like, what do you do? And then you got to contact Lego and you get sent and that whole rigmarole, I'm sure is real fun and exciting.
Oh yeah.
So, ever since I found out that you were local, super exciting. But I'll have you know that I sometimes jokingly, when I can't find a action figure on the shelf, I damn your name. Because I'm just assuming you bought them all. So how does it feel to know that there's at least one person doing that?
There's probably a few, but it's funny is I don't really buy a lot of stuff in the store, but I've always been a store rat just from my day job being in stores. It's like part of what I've done my whole life. I love walking stores. I love retail. I love displays, how they display things, not just toys, across the board. I love to see kind of the science behind it, being in that world. So I'm in there checking on my stuff too, and then I'm hitting up. But I get most of my stuff, Ringside Collectibles, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, because that's one of the things too. And a lot of people say, well, I go to stores all day. And obviously gas is expensive. Your time is worth something. That's one thing is I always say I don't value my time enough because time is truly money. And a lot of people get mad. Well, I don't want to pay $5 more for Entertainment Earth or Ringside or something. And man, you're miles ahead with your time and your money and your gas and all that. But there is something about the thrill of the hunt. So really the only thing I ever really hunt for is a store exclusive from time to time.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm sure there's a few people out there. Yeah, I've had it in my videos where people say, "Oh my gosh, she cleaned out the whole store." Well, no, not at all, not at all.
Big Bag Toy Store is a big one for me.
Yep.
I could tell a funny story about that, but it might take a minute.
Up in Wisconsin, the nice thing about Big Bad Toy Store, everything ships pretty quickly because they're close.
One time I ordered a large transformer, and I had it shipped to my grandparents' house because I lived there when I ordered it, and then I moved. So, and my grandpa saw it has the BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store sticker or tape on it. He thought it was a something else.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no, it's just Transformer. It's just Transformer.
Is that what they're calling them these days?
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have that short story that you wanted to bring up?
I just said
or is that was it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, to round out the end of this interview, we have a short little game called Push Fireberry.
Okay.
Are you aware of Push Fire?
Never heard of it.
It's like Kiss, Marry, Kill, but wrestling terms, of course. So, Push Fireberry, NECA, Super 7, Mattel.
Push Fireberry, NECA, Super 7, or Mattel? It's a tough one. And I guess we're just talking company in general, too. So I'm going to have to... What was it again? Push Fireberry.
What does what does each of those mean?
So push means that you're putting this guy over.
Yep.
You are putting him in the front face of television, having him become super popular. Bury is basically the direct opposite of that, but you're still with the company. And then fire is, of course, being fired.
I'm going to have to push Mattel, which might not be a popular decision, but I'm thinking of it as so many different toy lines I collect over there, and price of those toy lines is a little bit cheaper than some of the competition there. So push Mattel. This is tough. It's a pick-em. I could change my mind tomorrow, but I'm going to bury NECA and fire Super 7. That's what we have to do, because Super 7, I love Super 7. I love some of the stuff they're putting out there, but there's the long wait times. There's quality issues from time to time, but they do a great job out there, like I said. But and then that's what I'm gonna do. Fire.
Okay. We're not worried about you protecting like your opinion over companies, right? Okay, cool. They're gonna like, hey, we're not gonna give you a free toy now or something like that. Okay, Push Fireberry, G.I. Joe, DC McFarlane, or Ninja Turtle toys?
Pushing G.I. Joe all day long. That's one of my first loves, so that's an easy one.
A lot of things wouldn't be here without G.I. Joe.
Yes, 100%. What was it, G.I. Joe? What was the other one?
DC McFarlane toys and Ninja Turtles.
I'm going to bury Ninja Turtles.
All right.
I'm going to fire McFarlane. McFarlane hanging out on my couch lately. I will say McFarlane, the biggest comeback story in action figures in 2023. I was extremely down on McFarlane in 2022. A lot of quality issues, a lot of paint app issues, a lot of issues in general. He stepped it up in 2023, and I always call it out. I always give my opinion on the channel. You know, no matter what is going on, I'm going to tell it like I see it. I mean, I got to be honest.
Yeah.
But man, McFarlane stepped it up this year, so I will give him that.
Yeah, being honest, in all honesty, it helps their companies do better, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't snap Andre the Giant's leg and say, this is a great figure.
Too soon. Too soon.
Okay, last one, Push Fireberry. I mean, this is probably going to be the easiest one.
Okay.
Plastic, cloth, or wired capes?
I'm going to push the wire cape. I think that's always fun.
This man knows his stuff.
Yeah.
It's always good because you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you really do. That's great.
Fire the plastic cape, bury the regular cloth cape, I guess.
All right,
the way
cool.
I'll go.
Cool. Jordan, do you have any lasting words with Kyle Peterson?
I guess there's one other question.
Yeah.
You travel a lot.
Yeah.
Do you travel for toy conventions?
Occasionally, yeah. I mean, I did go to PowerCon this year. I did go to San Diego Comic-Con, so I guess I must.
Have you ever met or collaborated with any other well-known YouTube
probably Matt, right?
Content creators?
Yeah, I mean, the major pod guys, I mean, I could hit them up, and I think they would answer the call if I needed to. So those guys, not a whole lot. I mean, it's weird. I'm such in a bubble. It feels weird. Like I said earlier, I never watched YouTube. I never knew like the Pixel Dans and Shartimus Primes. And I think that's a good thing because I get a lot of people that reach out to me on a regular basis saying, hey, I'm going to start YouTube. What do you do? And I said, I just did it. And I feel like if I would have watched somebody else, I would have took their habits, good or bad, and put them into mine, where I do, now that I've watched others and seen stuff, I feel like I'm at least different than a lot of people, which I think is really key because you got to stand out and be different than others for sure. But definitely not against collaborating. But man, when I say, I always joke about being the hardest working man on YouTube, like a young James Brown. But I am working, I'm grinding 24/7. I am always working, be it my day job or that. I don't take days off. Like my day job, I haven't had a full week's vacation since 2004, I think. I don't mess around. Like I work 24/7. And I always say you don't have to be the smartest at something, but I'll out hustle everybody. I'll always do that at work. I mean, if it takes me 2-3 more hours than somebody else, well, I'm still getting it done. And that's one thing I've taken with YouTube is I'm going to out hustle everybody. I might not be everybody's favorite. I might not be the most popular, whatever it may be. I'll be myself, but I'm going to hustle. I'm going to be out there. But long story, I have not a lot of free time, and I'm really tied into work, obviously, with all stuff. And I travel, 14 states on a fairly regular basis. They're not in Texas all the time, so I'm really traveling. So it's always work and try to figure that out. But I'm not against collaborations at all. I got some things in the pipeline with some collaborations of friends of the channel and doing a few things. So I would say as far as 2024 goes, I'm going to get this book done. I'm going to try to get a new room tour done of my collection. There's some things that have changed, obviously. Everybody's collection changes year to year.
Oh, yeah.
Then after that, I've got some big things on the horizon that I'm going to really focus a lot of energy into. And I think a lot of people, if you like heavy metal, you like action figures and all points in between. I think a lot of people, and I guess I say heavy metal, I mean hard rock and heavy metal, I should say. We're not talking death metal. We're not talking just Cannibal Corpse. But I think there's going to be a lot of stuff out there that people may enjoy in the future, 2024 and beyond. So more to come on that at my channels very, very soon.
All right. That does remind me of a question I wanted to ask for Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan is thinking of starting his own solo podcast where he does stay up to date on toy-related news. Now, you are dabbling with podcasts now, but on the toy content side, how do you stay up to date, and do you have any tips for him?
Yeah, I mean, I do. You've probably seen it. I do a weekly toy news video where I just kind of recap the week, and it's just being included into that media of what's going on. And for me, I say it's easy because I've been around it forever. I've always paid attention to it. But obviously, you've got social media. Everybody has social media. You follow all the majors. You follow the NECA, the Super 7s, the Hasbro, and stuff, and they do a pretty good job of knowing stuff out there, and they announce releases, and here's what's coming, here's pre-orders, here's what's going on. Obviously, the big conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, PowerCon, other ones like that where things are announced. You just kind of got to be immersed in it all and kind of just really paying attention to all that stuff, and that's what I do. I mean, all week, I'm in a conference call. Hopefully my work's not looking. I'm in a conference call, and I'll be checking, okay, what's Super 7 doing today or something. But, you just got to immerse yourself in it really at the end of the day, and you'll get all the news. It'll all come flowing to you.
Okay. Sweet. So you said a little bit earlier that you're a very busy guy?
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We found a good timing.
Yeah.
I actually filmed 15 YouTube reviews this morning, so I hammered those out
this morning. What?
Today. I did 15 unboxings today. I usually do about 20 unboxings every single Sunday. That's where I do the majority of my content, and then I edit at night a lot throughout the week and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm trying to get ahead because I'm going to be at the end of January. I'm going to be on a little special trip, a little special mission, and I'll be gone for about a week and a half. So I'm trying to build up some content when I'm gone, so I don't miss a step,
Nice. This episode right here in particular will probably release within the week, but maybe a little sneak peek. What do you plan on reviewing tomorrow?
Tomorrow, and that's funny. It's like I'm so far ahead. I'm thinking about 2 weeks from now because that stuff's already in the can. But I got about 30 new wrestling figures in the last week, so it's going to be pretty wrestling heavy the next week or 2 weeks on the main channel. My second channel, once again, got a lot of Ninja Turtles stuff. I might put some He-Man stuff. I got a lot of He-Man stuff to get to as well. So that's the beauty of the channel. I release so many videos, but I try to do, every day there's a He-Man, a Turtle, a wrestling, and maybe something else. So it's like, I don't want to bombard somebody with 4 wrestling videos in a day, So you can kind of pick and choose as you need.
Gotcha. Well, this has been an excellent interview, Kyle Peterson. Please tell the audience where we can find you.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself too. It's really nice to do one of these where it's only like 10 minutes away from my house, so that's even funner.
Yeah.
That's
This
a
was
rare
perfect.
occurrence, yes. But you can find me, of course, Patreon, search Kyle Peterson, I'm over there. YouTube, hit me up on YouTube, Kyle Peterson. I always say you search Kyle Peterson on YouTube. There's like two. There's some guy that like gets stung by bugs and stuff. He's got millions and millions of subscribers. I'm the other guy.
That guy.
I'm the other guy. But Kyle Peterson, I think you can find me on there. And Kyle Peterson 2.0, Kyle Peterson, I think 1980. You just put the @ symbol in front of those. You'll find me on YouTube. The former Twitter, now the X, Sir Paul64 over there. And then _Kyle_Peterson on Threads and on Instagram. So you can find me in any of those places.
Awesome. Thank you once again, Kyle, for being on the Unfadeable Podcast. You can find the Unfadeable Podcast on Spotify and under the Scaldstone Productions channel on YouTube. Jordan, do you have any last words?
I'm good, man.
All right. Thanks for being here, Kyle.
I appreciate it, fellas.